Our recent President Václav Klaus showed us that he has got enough courage to oppose the fascist agenda plan of signing Lisbon Treaty, and many people honoring him for that. Is it another trick of global lead, or are there also awakened leaders who just broke suddenly and stopped in the direction for total enslavement?
I've got a great deal of respect for the stance that Mr. Klaus took in many areas. He was one, if not the only, world leader, certainly one of a very small number, who actually had the wisdom and the courage to stand up against the lie of human pollution-caused global warming. I mean, you know, you look at the scientific evidence and you look at the nature of all the data, and a 10-year-old could see that a insignificant greenhouse gas like carbon dioxide could not possibly change the climate in the way that's being described. And for a long time now, must be 6 months, Al Gore has just gone AWOL, absent without leave. He's just kind of disappeared because of the stuff that's coming out now. This is why Gore will not debate with anybody about his claims for this global warming catastrophe. But the politicians, you know, sheep, just go along with it, either because they're part of the manipulation and they know it's not true, or to a very large extent they're just uninformed. Well, the scientists say, so it must be. Well, actually, enormous amounts of scientists of cutting edge in their discipline say it's not true. It's the song sheet scientists who say it is true, or just singing from a song sheet that they've been given. And I had great respect for Mr. Klaus to come out and say what he did in the face of a lot of abuse that he got from idiots and manipulators as a result. I also have had tremendous respect for his stance on the Lisbon Treaty. Mr. Klaus obviously understands that the European Union is a fascist communist, because fascist communism, they're just different masks on the same face, fascist communist dictatorship. I've shown in great detail in my books and my research over the years that the European Union that we have now, which is a centralized bureaucratic tyranny, totally the same as the Politburo in the communist Soviet Union, was planned to be like this from the moment the European Economic Community, the Common Market it was called then, and long before, was actually even suggested. But there is a technique that I call in my books the totalitarian tiptoe. And it works like this. If you went, or let me put it this way first. You're standing at A, and you know that you want to take the world or Europe to B, totally different situation. But you know that if you go from A to no, not B, Z rather, you go from A to Z, and you know you're going to Z. But if you go from A to Z in one great jump, then the change is so fantastic that people go, what's going on? So if suddenly one day they said, okay, no more nation states, we're bringing an end to them tomorrow, and then we're going to bring in this European Union centralized dictatorship to all the countries of Europe. People will go, what? So you don't do it like that. You use the totalitarian tiptoe. You go from A to B, to D, to E. You go as fast as you can, but not so fast that you alert people to actually where this is leading. And by the time they realize where it's leading, which is where we are, which is centralized dictatorship of the whole of Europe, it's perceived to be too late to do anything about it. And the Lisbon Treaty was possibly the biggest stepping stone in this tiptoe of the European Union, of all of them. And as a result of it, some people who actually have some intelligence, but many, many more people with the passage of the months and years to come, will realize that that treaty was basically a contract to bring in fascism, communism, fascism, to the whole of Europe. And virtually one major politician stood up to that and tried to stop it coming in by preventing the signing of it by the Czech Republic. And that was Mr. Klaus. And so a round of applause to him for that. But in the end, of course, it went through. And now what we're seeing is exactly what was predicted before. We're seeing the centralization of power in Europe on a level never seen before, where we're having European arrest warrants, where police, it's now proposed, from countries all over Europe can go into any other country and arrest people. They can have them extradited very easily. They're talking about a European police force, a European army, and basically the powers of the nation state are being eroded to the point where they're irrelevant. You know, in Britain now, I'm sure it's getting like that in the Czech Republic, something like 75% of laws that pass through the British Parliament originate in Europe, in the European Union. And this whole idea that we have national politicians making decisions about nation states, it's all a farce, it's all a front, it's all an illusion. Europe is dictating the engine driving the change from a state of freedom and civil rights to one of centralized tyranny. And the fact that Mr. Klaus was just about the only politician to stand up to that is good for him, but it's a bloody disgrace for the rest of them all over Europe, not least in this country.
Okay. You've done a lot, not only for yourself, but for the freedom of others too. Tell us something, please. What does it mean for you to make a job in so wonderful way? Are there any moments when you are afraid?
No, I wouldn't say that I'm afraid. I'm passionate. I'm determined. And, you know, when you have a philosophy on life that I have, and I back it up with a lot of detailed evidence in my books, that we are infinite eternal consciousness having an experience in this frequency range we call a reality, and that David Icke or Ethel Jones or Charlie Smith is just an experience that my consciousness is having. It's not me, it's an experience I'm having, which is why when people have near-death experiences, they have the experience of leaving the body, but they're still totally in their awareness, in fact far more in their awareness than they are in the body. And people say, well, how can they see, how can they perceive, how can they think without the body? Well, because that's their natural state. So where I'm going with this is this: the worst thing that can happen to me doing what I'm doing is that someone kills me. What that means is my infinite consciousness leaves this vehicle, you know, just like a spaceman gets out of the spacesuit. So I think I can deal with that, no problem. So the worst thing that can happen is someone kills me, and I have no problem with that. The problem I have with that only is this: they're not going to do it before I've done what I've come to do. Simple as that. End of story. We have far more power than we think we have, and in fact the whole foundation of the conspiracy to enslave humanity is to constantly persuade, encourage, manipulate humanity to think it has no power, to think it's just little me, I've got no power, Joe Public, what can I do? Well, actually we can change anything we like, because we're amazing expressions of the one consciousness that in all its many and various infinite forms is what we all are. So I don't fear these people. I think they're pathetic. I think they are frightened in so many ways, and terrified and immensely insecure, because secure people do not want power over others. Insecure people want power over others. Secure people do not want to control events all the time. They're quite happy to flow with the way the life goes. These people are so insecure for many and various reasons, which would take a lot of time to explain, and therefore they want to control everything. When if you take the football match analogy, they are incredibly uncomfortable going to a football match and not knowing what the result's going to be before the game starts. You know, that who's going to win, or is it going that way? They can't stand that. What they have to know, because of their extraordinary levels of insecurity, is what the score's going to be before the game starts. Now, how do you do that? You can't do it by controlling one side, because you influence the game, but you don't decide the game, because there's an unknown force, which is the other side. And so they want to control both sides. So taking that into our everyday life, what they do is they'll create groups that are for something that they want, and they'll create groups that are against something or appear to be against something that they want. And now they've controlled both sides. Everyone has an argument, a debate, a protest, and people think, oh, it's a free world, free country, because look, there's protest and there's argument going on and discussion, yeah. But they know what the blooming outcome's going to be. The side that is pressing for what they want is the one that's going to prevail. So this is how it works. And what they don't understand, therefore, because they do not have the capacity for that because of their own state of being, they do not understand or know how to handle people who are not in fear, either of them or death or any of it. They can't handle that because they can't understand it, because that's not where they're at. And so it's interesting that in some of their writings, some of the documents that have come to light, they talk about the great danger to their plan of what they call maverick people. People who are not frightened of them, people who are not programmed by the system to think and see the world the way the system wants them to. They are very dangerous to this tyranny, and we need more of them. And I'm going to go on being a maverick until I've done what I've come to do, and they are not going to reduce that time 1 second, because I'm in control of my reality and my life, not them.
That's beautiful, yeah. Well, you've launched a worldwide tour this year and next year, where Prague is honored by your visit. Please tell us what is so attractive for the people that come in huge numbers to see your presentations around the world. What may be so important for them?
One of the things that people have said to me over the years is that they love to come, because there's a fantastic amount of information. I mean, you know, I'm speaking for 8 hours at these events across a great swathe of different subjects, which on the face of it have no connection. But the longer the talk goes on, the more the connections can be seen, and you can see a dramatically different picture of the world to the one that we're given normally. But another thing, like I was saying, that people have said to me over the years is it's just wonderful to hear someone saying what we think. Because you see, even today, although there is a major awakening is underway. I mean, I can see the difference from 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was doing this, to the situation now in terms of interest and awareness. There is tremendous awakening going on, and a lot of it that people don't see. It's going on in people's private, you know, everyday lives, and people are not aware of it, but it is going on. But even today, if they said what they felt about the world and reality and all the rest of it, they would still face, from a lot of people, friends, family, people at work, ridicule and dismissal from these programmed minds that are still being told what to think by the system. So when people come to my events, they are overwhelmingly among people who have come to similar conclusions to them, to hear information that I hopefully, because the talks move on all the time, it introduces even more information and newer information than they're aware of up to that point. But they're among like minds, and people get a tremendous boost out of that.